How are you? Good evening.
Good to be here as always.
Another great day in the great city of St. Catharines.
Beautiful,
right?
beautiful day.
Exactly right. On today's show, we got a pretty cool topic today we want to get into. It's the top 10 reasons why people fail with money. You know, and I heard a great saying years ago, Jason, and it goes something like this. You never know who's swimming naked at the beach until the tide rolls out. And, you know, people are in the beach and they're all great. And then the tide rolls out and a few guys are in there without their swimming trunks on. The same can be said.
Do you have a visual?
No.
Somewhere? No. No, thanks.
Geez, that would be a painful visual of us, right? Yeah. But, you know, but the same can be said with money, Jason, right? So, you know, you look at your neighbor, you look at your best friend, you look at the parents that go to your kids' school and they've got fancy cars and they've got a fancy house and they dress to the nines and, you say to yourself, like, what are we doing wrong here, right? But then something happens in their lives, and all of a sudden, there's no fancy house, and there's no fancy car, and there's no fancy watch, right? And I guess what's happening right now is people today, you know, we're seeing it right now for the first time in years, rates with interest. Rates are going up with the interest rate factor these days. Bank of Canada keeps raising interest rates. People's cost to borrow is going up, and there's a lot of financial worry, I think, these days with people that we talk to all the time about, hey, my bills are going up, the cost of food going up, the cost of rent's going up, the cost of gas and so on. And there's a few issues facing consumers right now. You've got the rising interest rate. You've got potentially job risk, Jason, and nothing more fearful than, you know, you're out there, you're maxed out your credit cards, you've maxed out your debt, and then there's a job issue, right? Of course, people don't have emergency funds. And again, what we're seeing by talking to our mortgage consultants is there's massive amounts of credit card debt. So lots of things happening financially, and hopefully on this show we can share some ways to not fail with your money.
Well, look what happened last year with COVID and all the job losses, and you know, the government. It was fortunate that the government stepped in, but it wasn't. It wasn't enough for some people, and lots of people lost their jobs. Lots of people lost their businesses, the restaurants, the hotels. It took quite a toll on the financial aspect.
Yeah, and the other big thing too in the last couple of years with COVID is people, you know, they went from making $80,000 to $100,000 a year in their jobs, and they were getting the CERB benefit for $2,000 a month, and that wasn't nearly enough money to make it happen. And of course, they've been going into their credit cards and their lines of credit, and now of course those things are starting to increase. But I do want to get into the foundation of financial planning, and I always go back to this: is there's three key pillars to the foundation of financial success. One is debt control, having your debt under control. Two is having a positive cash flow, having more money come in each month that's going out. And then the third thing of the foundation is having the proper insurance in play. But, you know, Jason, I want to get into the top 10 reasons why people fail with money. And number one, I've made a note here is, you know, they're overextending themselves, right? So they're overextending on things like their home, expensive toys. You know, most people you talk to, we're fortunate. Our clients are well positioned. But a lot of people out there, you know, they don't live within their means. And that's going to be a big struggle when things like interest rates keep going up.
Yeah, and most people haven't been involved with higher interest rates. You know, they're comfortable or they're used to the idea of, 1-2% interest rates. Well, guess what, folks? In the next couple of years, you might see 4 or 5%. And like you said, living within your means. If you're just living on that razor's edge, it's going to be a challenge. That's for sure.
Well, you know what? One of the big things is in the note here is the big house. And I had talked to a client of mine who, you know, they live in Toronto and they've got a big fancy home and a big fancy mortgage, and it's variable, and it's $1 million mortgage. And I said, you know, if interest rates go from 2% to 3%, you know, that could be a $10,000 additional interest payment. Do you have that money put aside? Can you find it? What if rates go up from 2 to 4%? So again, living within your means is the key number one when it comes to success with money.
For sure. Number two reason why people fail with their money is going into serious debt way too early in life. How many times do we talk about our kids and, you know, do as much as you can to get rid of bad debt, have zero bad debt. by the age of 30. There's good debt, which is, mortgages at these reasonably low interest rates. And then there's bad debts like car loans, credit cards, and so on. So it's really important to make sure that those bad debts are gone by age 30.
Well, they always say if you get behind the 8 ball in the beginning, you can't get ahead of the 8 ball, right? So, and again, one of the biggest mistakes I think people make in their 20s is instant gratification is I'm going to go get a fancy car or a fancy truck. And they sign that 5, 6, 7 year payment agreement, $800, $900 a month. And then it's all great living at home with mom and dad and living in the basement, not paying bills. But then, of course, at some point you do want to move on your own and you've got this massive, massive debt. Number 3 here on the top 10 reasons people fail with money is divorce, right? And losing potentially half of your assets. So, if you happen to go through a divorce and you're gonna have to at some point equalize with your ex-spouse, what you don't want to do is make the lawyers rich, right? Because these lawyers will get you to fight and argue. And at the end of the day, whatever wealth you have left while you're going through a divorce, you might have to give that up to the lawyer. So, with your ex-spouse, maybe look for a win-win. But, as best you can, try not to divorce. But if you do divorce, try and do it in a very collaborative way and not don't make the lawyers rich, that's for sure.
Yeah, try and be amicable and come to some kind of a compromise.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The fourth reason is starting too late when you're trying to save and invest for the future. Again, we talk to our kids, a lot of our clients' kids in their teens or even in their 20s. Try and set a goal. Let's say try and save $50,000 before the age of 30. Albert Einstein once said, I think it was Albert Einstein, who said, compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. If you can start early, have $50,000 in the bank by age 30, with a let's say 5 to 7% interest rate, you're looking at probably a few $100,000 for sure by age 60.
Well, $50,000 by 30, even at 7%, money doubles every 10 years. Yeah. So you go from 50 to 100 to 200 to 400. I mean, you could have $500,000 by the time you're 65. And that just came from the first 50,000. So you want to get off to a quick start when it comes to your money. Absolutely. Number 5 here on some of the top 10 reasons why people fail with money is people are impulsive and they're consistently changing their plans, Jason. So, set the plan, sit down with your advisory team, your wealth team, design a game plan. Hey, at 25, I want to be here. At 30, I want to be here. At 35, 40, and so on. But don't keep changing it, right? So don't talk to a buddy and he says to do this differently. I'm going to sell all my stocks over here. I'm going to buy cryptocurrency. 2 or 3 years go by. I'm going to sell cryptocurrency. Just get a game plan, get a financial plan, get a wealth plan, and stick with it. And the one that sticks with the plan, typically in the end, ends up winning.
Yeah, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. That's typically what we, and then of course a long-term plan. Number 6 on the top reasons why people fail with money: retiring too early without any thoughts of how your money's going to last for your lifetime. There's a stat I heard the other day. If you're a 60-year-old couple, they have a more than 50% chance that at least one of them will live to age 90.
Wow.
And, we know lots of people. There's lots of people now turning 100 these days. So obviously really super important to make sure that you plan to live to at least 90, or at least one of the spouses lives to 90.
Well, it's funny, right? Whenever we talk to our clients that are getting up there, maybe in their 70s or 80s, they're both alive, they're both healthy, they're both doing well. But in the back of their minds, what if one of us one has to go to a nursing home? What's the cost of the nursing home? What if we both have to go to a nursing home? How much will that cost us? So you're completely right. Is you got to start thinking about age 90, 95, 100 when it comes to your wealth projections. Number 7 here on some of the top 10 reasons why people fail with money is you're getting too emotional when it comes to your investments. You're making poor decisions based on emotion. So again, we've talked about this in previous broadcasts, is think long-term, turn off your attention to the short-term noise. We know that every 6 months, every year, there's going to be another this or another that or some other issue coming. But you've got to think about the long term. And again, you've got to get rid of the noise that you're hearing all day long. I always say that when you turn on the nightly news never starts out with good stories. It's always doom and gloom, right? And what's the old saying in the news business, Jason? If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
And again, financially, you're going to turn on the nightly news and you're going to hear about this and this and this and this. Don't worry about it. Stick with the program, stay with the game plan. And don't forget, investment managers too and portfolio managers are looking out 6, 12, 18 months with your money when they're making decisions. They're not looking at what's happening today, tomorrow, and next week.
Exactly. Think long term. Number 8 is trying to keep up with spending habits of your friends. So just like we said previously, live within your means. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Everyone's financial ability is different. So try and set your spending habits based on you, not necessarily what your friends are doing.
Exactly right. And again, like we say, is that they can do what they want to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And it's funny, right? I think back to when I started out in this business 30 years ago. I had friends that said to me, I'm not doing that. That's a waste of time, waste of money. And 30 years later, I circle back to these folks and I ask them, so how you doing now? And the common theme is that I should have listened to you 30 years ago because I didn't listen. And now we're in our 50s. And all of a sudden, life's getting more and more difficult. Number 9 here on some of the top 10 reasons why people fail with money, Jason, is this is a classic one, right? So it's the relying on the get-rich-quick scheme, the get-rich-quick investment. There is no get-rich-quick. There's only get-rich-slow. And everybody that I know that is wealthy, I know one guy that got rich quick. He got it on a 649 ticket, right? But everybody else, the other 99.9% of people that I know, they got wealthy over 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, right? And again, for those out there, I know that 2 or 3 years ago, everybody thought about maybe it's cryptocurrency, maybe it's it's this get rich quick scheme or this stock or this hot this. There is no get rich quick. There's get rich slow.
Yeah, agreed. And the number 10 reason, the 10th reason why people fail with money is not having proper insurance strategies, not making sure you have an emergency fund. As we talked about earlier, COVID hits and people are out of a job very quickly. What do? We talk to our clients all the time, have at least 3 months of income to weather any storms. And a lot of times they say, no, I'll use my line of credit. Well, again, COVID really brought this to the forefront and made people realize you need to have that emergency fund. It takes a lot of the stress out of people's lives if you have just a little piggy bank.
Well, it's funny, right? I mean, I think back 30 years ago, and one of the lessons I was taught early is, have that piggy bank with 3 to 6 months. It's okay if it just sits there and it earns, simple interest. But I'll tell you one thing is, as when we went through COVID, I was pretty happy having that 6 to 12 month buffer in my account, not knowing what was going to happen during COVID. It worked out really well for us and our clients. And then again, too, like things happen in life, right? I mean, all of a sudden there's an illness or there's this or there's that, all right? But having the cash is really, really important. The bottom line with this topic is, creating wealth is more about good habits and good discipline. So if you're out there right now and you've got good habits, you've got good discipline, you've got a sense on what you want to do, you've got some goals, you've got some aspirations, you've got the ability to fund it, sit down, talk to an advisor, talk to us, talk to someone, get a plan, get a direction, and then you'll never look back. And if you put time into it, you put in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you look back and you'll be grateful that you did all these amazing things. So it's an important topic, Jason.
Yeah, live within your means and start early.
Absolutely. So Jason Pollock, again, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it.